Ezekiel was a captive Jew by the river of Kibar. The house of Judah had already gone into captivity starting in 604 BC. All that was left to remain for the prophecies of Judah to be fulfilled was that Jerusalem had to be destroyed and the temple. He was given a message to the house of Israel. Now, the house of Israel had gone into captivity by the Assyrians over 100 years before Ezekiel. And we've seen in previous chapters that Ezekiel, when he was told to go there with this message, then he was told no, he wouldn't go there, that he would be in his house in bonds and ropes, and he would not go out there literally to the people of the house of Israel. The house of Israel in the Assyrian captivity, the Babylonians were now conquering all of that land, and the Assyrians moved up north together with the peoples of the tribes of the house of Israel into the Black Sea area, into Eastern Europe, finally across Europe over many, many centuries under different names. And the peoples of the tribe, the 10 tribe house of Israel became Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Holland, France, Belgium, the Anglo-Saxon people of the British Commonwealth and the United States of America. We are the modern descendants of the house of Israel. This message that Ezekiel was given is for a future time. It is for the end time of this age. As we will see, it's a 1, 2, 3 step series going through the book of Ezekiel, right through, indeed, to the end age and the coming of the Messiah. It's a message to them. It's a message to the end time peoples of the house of Israel and the house of Judah, which are the Jews, the Benjamites, the Levites, and especially, of course, the Jews in the Holy Land. It is a message to those peoples here in the book of Ezekiel. Another key is in chapter 4 of Ezekiel, verses 1 to 3, what was to take place to Jerusalem is a type of what will happen to the house of Israel at the end time. It is a type, and you can see that as God directed and spoke that would be the case in Ezekiel chapter 4, verses 1 to 3. We're now going into Ezekiel chapter 8. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of the Lord fell upon me. Then I behold, and lo, a likeness of an appearance of fire. From the appearance of his loins even downward was fire, and from his loins upwards as the appearance of a brightness as the color of amber. And he put forth the form of a hand, and he took me by a lock of my head. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me in visions of God to Jerusalem. Ezekiel did not literally go. He was now in vision through God at Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looked towards the north. There was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provokes to jealousy. Now, God says in his word that he is a jealous God. And if we do things that are contrary to him, and we start worshiping all kinds of other things that come between him and us, those things indeed can provoke him to jealousy. Verse 4, and behold, the glory of the God of Israel was there, according to the vision which I saw in the plain. Then he said unto me, Son of man, lift up your eyes now to the way of the north. So I lifted my eyes up to the way of the north, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. And he said further unto me, Son of man, do you see what you see here? Even the great abominations that the house of Israel commits here. You people of Northwestern Europe, the British Commonwealth, and United States, you are doing things that are bringing the eternal God to jealousy. And he has a righteous jealousy that then meters out punishment to try to bring you back to him, to serve him. Verse 6. And he said furthermore unto me, Son of man, do you see what you see here? Great abominations of the house of Israel commit here, that I should go away from my sanctuary. But turn you yet again, and you'll see greater abominations. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig you in the wall. And I digged in the wall. Behold the door. And he said unto me, Go in and behold the wicked abominations that they do in there. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping thing, and abominable beast, and all the idols of the house of Israel, portrayed upon the walls there around. This is a teaching that our basic society today, you people of Northwestern Europe, British Commonwealth, United States, our societies today are filled with abominations, filled with all kinds of evils and wickedness and things that indeed do bring the Lord to jealousy over his people. Verse 11. And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel, the older ones who were supposed to have wisdom and judgment. And in the midst of them stood Jezaniah, the son of Shaphan, with every man a censer in his hand, and a thick cloud went up. You know, it's like these elderly people, and the ones that have been around for a long time should know better, worshipping God. Verse 12. Then he said unto me, Son of man, do you see what the ancients of the house of Israel do in dark? Every man in the chamber of his imagination. For they say, The Lord sees us not. The Lord has forsaken the earth. Oh yes, God is dead. They are saying, the Lord doesn't exist. Evolution is the truth. There is no such thing as a heavenly God. Oh, God is dead. He doesn't see. He's not around. It doesn't matter what we do and how we live and how we think. And it doesn't matter what laws we institute in our nations, because there is no God. And verse 13, he said unto me, Turn you yet again, and you see greater abominations. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was towards the north. And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Now Tammuz and Semiramis were the pagans' mother and daughter worship. It's all recorded in ancient history of pagan nations and how they did have their mother and son worship. S-U-N worship in essence, but indeed a mother and child worship amongst the pagan nations. Satan's counterfeit to Mary and Jesus. Verse 15, Then said he unto me, Have you seen this, O son of man? Yet turn again, and you shall see even greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, a door at the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs towards the temple of God, and their faces towards the east. And they worshipped the sun, S-U-N, the sun, towards the east. This is the religious establishments of you people of the house of Israel. Most of your religious establishments are filled with sun worship, pagan sun worship. Have you questioned where you get things in your religion? Where do some of your customs and practices of religion come from? You need to go onto my website and under God's Sabbath and Festivals, and you need to read the book that is called Christian Feasts and Customs by a Roman Catholic bishop. And he will pull no punches, and he will go chapter after chapter telling you where many of these things that we have in our Christian religion come from. And it comes from many of them come from the pagan sun worship, S-U-N worship. Verse 17, and he said to me, have you seen, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah? Yes, it affects Judah also, but Judah was a type also for the house of Israel. The Jewish people here in Ezekiel's time were indeed not worshiping God in the right way. And it is a prophecy also for today. The Jewish people today are a secular people. Most of them, the state of Israel is secular. It is not religious. It is not founded upon the word of God. It is a secular nation. And so Ezekiel says here through God, is this a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here? For they have filled the land with violence and have returned to provoke me to anger. And lo, they put the branch to their nose. Wherefore I will also deal in my fury. Mine eye will not spare, neither will I have pity. And though they cry in my eyes with a loud voice, yet I will not hear them. This is a message not only for the people that was left in Judah at that time, and the people in Jerusalem that were doing these abominations and these false worship towards God. It is also a message for modern Judah today, and it is a message for the modern house of Israel. And God says that the things that you are doing in your religious worship, most of them are sun god worship, S-U-N worship, the pagans worship, and how they worship the sun in many of their rites and practices. And we can find that even today in our Christian religions. And you need, as I said, to go and read on my website under God's Sabbath and Festivals. You need to read that book by that bishop, Catholic bishop, called Christian Feasts and Customs. And you will be amazed at what you will find is part and where it all comes from as a part of popular Christianity today. It's a very serious subject, and you need to look into it and take it seriously.